Hello and welcome back to the Stacey West YouTube channel and to another preview, this time looking ahead to Saturday's fixture against Leyton Orient. Tuesday ended in pretty dramatic fashion, so let's hope that Saturday can start in the same vein. To discuss Leyton Orient, I am joined by the one and only Jake Coburn from the Real EFL podcast. Jake, how are we doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very, very well, thank you. Especially very well after that last-minute equaliser that I just mentioned there against Blackpool on Tuesday night. I think it's buoyed a lot of Imps fan spirits going into Saturday. But let's talk about your guys' spirits. Start of the season has actually looked a little bit tough when you look on paper. If you just look at the league table, 20th place, I believe. Is that as worrying? Are you as worried as a Leyton Orient fan as what the score, as what the table is currently suggesting?
It is quite similar to last season, if you ask me. I think we had a difficult start. We played some very good teams: Birmingham, Bolton, Charlton, and Wrexham. But something we've struggled with is turning draws into wins and winning games that we should have done. So I'm not too worried about the league positioning as of yet, because I remember maybe it was November last year, we were still 20th, and we ended up finishing, I think it was like 13th or somewhere mid-table, and we had a little stint challenging for the playoffs. So I don't think that's too much of an issue.
No, I can kind of see that as well from the outside looking in. And I'll be honest, I had quite a lot of faith in you guys going into this season, especially at the end of last season. I thought you guys were really going to be a team that can challenge around that kind of same area that you did last time out, in that kind of 8th to 10th area, even though it was going to be a tougher league. And then the transfer window happened, and I don't know, again, from the outside looking in, it didn't seem like it was that great of a transfer window for you guys. What were your thoughts on the summer?
I think in terms of how the window went, I think they could have gone about it a little bit better. There's a lot of inexperienced, unproven players that were signed. However, I don't think the signings are that much of an issue. I think the thing that really has sort of maybe pushed our development back is the departure of Idris El Mazouni, who, of course, he was on loan from Ipswich. He's joined Oxford United now. He's played very well in the Championship as well. But to have that kind of player in League One, he'd control your games, he'd win you matches. If he played well, we'd play well. So I don't think it's to do with the transfers in, because Sean Clare's coming in midfield. He's a brilliant midfielder. We've also got Ethan Galbraith, who, he might not be with us for much longer due to the way he's performing, but it's more of the players we lost, I believe.
Yeah, no, I can very much see that. It seemed as though those players that went, no matter what you did in terms of trying to bring in replacements, they were always going to be very, very difficult players to replace. And I think that was kind of obvious from all areas. Let's pick up on some positives. I feel like I've been quite negative for those first couple of points. Like I'm trying to bash you down going into Saturday. But let's talk about one game in particular from the start of this season. Stockport away.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, first of all, Jake, were you there?
Of course I was there, yeah.
Good man. So, yeah, 4-1, wasn't it? And I saw a lot of comments after that game sort of saying, this is now going to be the sort of start of the start of our season. Things are starting to click in this game, and it's shown. And okay, you've not won a game since, but at the same time, you played Peterborough and Wrexham, I believe it was, straight after. Okay, and then Exeter as well. But does it feel like that was a little bit of a turning point as well? Like, okay, actually, this is now starting to click. We're going to be able to have performances like that, maybe not every week, obviously, but at least semi-regularly, to the point where you have got that high amount of faith in the team.
The thing with us is we've completely changed really the style of play under Wellens. It's obviously been the same formation, the 4-2-3-1, if you like, but something we've really really got better at this year is pressing, and that a big part of that has come through the re-signing of Charlie Kelman, who's a player we had on loan 2 seasons ago that the Richie Wellens was desperate to get back last year, didn't quite get him. Come back on loan from QPR, and he's been very good. His work rate is something that really impresses me. But the way we press as a team now is very impressive. The midfield, the defence, quite a high line, but they know what they're doing. And as you go back to Stockport, Peterborough, Wrexham, where we were able to pick up points, and we probably should have beaten Peterborough and Wrexham, we played very well against the side who's trying to play out from the back with the ball. I'd say one of the reasons we lost against Exeter is because we had a lot of the ball and we struggled to break them down. Had a few chances, but in terms of the way that we want to play is high press. So that suited us at Stockport, and that's how we got 4 goals. I think 2 of which came on the counter attack as well.
Well, that's an interesting one, because I think at Lincoln there's a little bit of a, not even a divide in the fan base. There's just a little bit of frustration from some sections of supporters, possibly rightly so as well, that at certain points so far in this season, we've got a little bit too long ball in certain areas of the game, whereas we know we've got the ability to play on the floor and to move through the third. So it's kind of like, well, why don't we? Now, we've also scored some goals from going long, and it can work, but obviously you've got to kind of mix it up and make sure that you've got both strings to the bow. Do you envisage that the more we go long on Saturday and the more we try to go over the top and try not to have the ball in our defensive third as much, the better we're going to fare against you?
Firstly, can I just say you guys are 4th in the league, so I don't know why I complain it. But,
Very true.
Something Peterborough did very well sorry. Something Peterborough did very well is pacing behind. That's something that really caused us problems. They had Poku, Jay Jones, and Malik Motherstill. They caused us a lot of issues. I think that style of play would probably suit you quite a bit, because a lot of Argos, I mean, when we scored against Birmingham City as well, that was from a higher press. We seem to have really perfected that. However, that does mean when a long ball is played, it's 2-on-2, it's 2 centre backs versus 2 strikers or whatever. The wingers are always 1v1. And that doesn't mean we might not switch formation as well, because when we played Wrexham, switched to a back 3. So it's a versatile team. It's just depending on whatever the gaffer Richie Wellens wants to do.
No, absolutely. And I want to kind of touch on Richie Wellens, because an interesting figure in management, and he's actually done a very, very good, solid job since being with you guys. And I want to know, first of all, and again, I know that this is just going to be sort of overtly positive, which is great, but what is the overall feeling from fans towards him as a manager, and not just over his whole tenure, but even this season, even though there are certain games where you've maybe struggled in certain areas, or obviously the league position, it doesn't quite look as healthy as what you'd like it to be. Are you still fully behind Richie Wellens as a manager, and you have faith in him to be the one taking you further up the table?
I think since the late Justin Edinburgh died, it was a very tough period for the club, and we've had a lot of managers, quite a few that came in, didn't really hit the ground running, and we struggled to pick ourselves back up from that. But soon as Richie came in, I think we were on a run where we'd scored. This was in League Two. We scored. It was like 1 goal in 10 games. Like we were losing every game. We just couldn't score a goal. Wellens came in, completely changed the whole narrative around the club. We'd sing songs like, "Oh, like we're winning away," the rest. And he's like, I don't want you singing that anymore. Like, we're going to be known for winning matches. And 18 months later, we're champions. I think in League One as well. I don't think any other manager really takes us to the heights he took us to last season. I don't think that was the greatest squad. I think he developed some of the young players very well. I'm not sure many other managers would. And I think this season he doesn't have the biggest budget, and he's been very vocal about that. But he tries his best with the players he's got. He's been shrewd with his free signings. Okay, some of the loan signings are a bit disappointing so far, but if it's up to me, I'd keep him for as long as we can. I also think he could manage at a higher level. If I'm honest with you, I think he's a manager that could easily. I saw when obviously Steve Bruce has gone and done a great job at Blackpool, but when Neil Critchley left, I was thinking, well, he used to play for Blackpool Wellens, and Blackpool are side of a big budget who who are expected to be challenging. I think that's the kind of club he could easily manage.
Well, that's totally fair enough, and I guess the big kind of question mark, even though you are sort of giving him all the big praise, there is how long is he going to stay with you? Especially if he's not getting the budget. Okay, he's able to work with that, but surely there's going to be a question mark sooner or later when the right club does come knocking that he's going to move on. And I mean, let's say that does happen. Let's just say hypothetically you're sat in 12th to 15th place in February or January or whatever, and a club at the top end of League One comes knocking. Would you be surprised if he went? Would you? And how would you feel if he did? I mean, we're talking hypothetical here, but it's just an interesting one.
I would be a little surprised purely because of how well he talks about the club and how he says he wants to take the club to the highest level he can. However, if he did, I certainly wouldn't blame him. Certainly wouldn't have a hatred towards him or whatever. As long as he ended up joining a bigger club and not like a lower club that has lots of money. But I think he's a fantastic manager, to be honest. I think he's won. I mean, winning titles is very hard, and he's done it with a Swindon squad that weren't really tipped to win the league. He's done it with a Leyton Orient squad that definitely weren't tipped to even get promoted, let alone win the league. And he's kept us up comfortably after a very tough season as well. A lot of clubs, if you had the start of the season we did, we were like 21st for a long time. And there was a lot of morale. The same players, first half of the season, second half of the season were completely different. And most of that is down to the manager. So he's a brilliant manager. His connection with the fans is fantastic. His connection with the board is good. So if he was to leave, I wouldn't have a bad word to say about him.
It's always great to kind of have that feeling, isn't it, when you've got a manager like that and in that position. So that's always good. So let's turn the tables then, because as I mentioned at the start when introducing you, you're not just a Leyton Orient fan, but you are also one of the podcast hosts on the Real EFL. You know your EFL football. So I want your opinion on Lincoln, and I want your opinion on Lincoln's start to the season. How do you see it from the outside looking in of how we're doing overall, and where do you think we could end up at the end of the season?
I think if you were to ask me at the start of the season, I'd say I look at that run you lot had at the end of last season, and I don't think anyone, even maybe after 30 games, would have said Lincoln are gonna finish sixth or in the playoffs at all. Even in the top half, maybe would have been top 10. Would have been shocking. But the way you finished last season under Michael Scabala was very impressive. Even when you played us the end of the season, I think we were arguably the better team, but you still found a way to win the game. And I would have thought, okay, I thought you'd be in and around maybe like top half, but to be fourth where you are, I watched the whole of the Blackpool match, and again, I don't think you were great, but you found a way to get a point. I think what I've noticed, obviously, of not a Lincoln fan, but under Scubala, you found a way to get results even when you're not playing well. I think you'll be up there. I also think it's very competitive this year. I think if you look at the table, there's massive clubs like Wigan, Huddersfield, Rotherham, who you think would be maybe challenging come the end of the season that haven't quite hit the ground running yet. So to have the start that you have, I think it's going to give you a big boost.
Well, that's some real positive words, and it always helps fill our egos up a little bit then when we get somebody on the preview who does speak so fondly of Lincoln like that. All right then, Joe. Final little question then, and I'm going to be chucking it over to you for a prediction. Now, how do you see the game going, and stick a score on it?
I think we're going to show up. I hope we show up. I think we'll have a decent away following, but obviously I remember last year you guys have a decent set of fans as well. It's good home support. So don't know. I think it's gonna be goals. I'm gonna go 1-1. I think that's what my heart's telling me. A 1-1 draw, I'll be happy. Take a point. Go into the international break. Happy there. What about yourself?
Oh, why would you have to ask me that? I'm going for a 2-0. 2-0 home victory. 2-0 home victory. Yeah. I feel like we're going to be able to grab a goal or two at home. And I just think that our defensive solidity, even though we are going to be without Adam Jackson, I think we're still going to be quite strong at the back. I think we're going to be wanting to try and keep clean sheets at home. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 and just try and improve and potentially even step up that a little bit higher in the table as well and close the gap on. I believe it's Wrexham directly above us. Somebody in the comments can correct me if I am wrong on that. But yeah, so
I was going to say you've only conceded 3 goals at home, so it'll be a tough defence to breach.
Yeah, that's very much the plan. So fingers crossed for that. No matter what does happen on Saturday, hopefully it is a good game. Hopefully everybody who is going enjoys it. I think you're going, aren't you, Jake?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Perfect. Well, they are then. So everybody have a great Saturday. Enjoy the game. And also, one last thing. Today marks 1 year to the day, I believe, since Derek Reynolds passed in the reverse fixture of this game last year. And obviously, we all at the Stacey West send out our condolences to the family 1 year on, and our thoughts and prayers are with them. But apart from that, up the Imps.
Lincoln City are the team, the Raiders is their name. Sincil Bank is their home ground, and football is their game. So come and cheer them on, you lads, support them all the way. Oh, 'tis hardly life for the red and white, the Imps are here to stay. Oh,